Welcome to Black Women's World Podcast.
Welcome to Peace Place for Me, a virtual connection where the contagious love of Jesus Christ abides and thrives. Thank you for joining us as we enter our time of sharing with Pastor and Chaplain TracyMac in this virtual, interfaith, inclusive, and purpose-filled community. Let's listen in.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I am TracyMac. I wear a lot of hats, and one of them this morning is Pastor and Chaplain, spiritual director, if I can spit it out right, of Peace Place for Me. And I thank God for this opportunity this morning. I am so excited. I just got finished playing the song Faithful by Ted and Sherry. And I'm going to tell you, we were in a groove for that one this morning, weren't we, Peace Place? I am so grateful for that song and just some of the lyrics. And when I look back over my life, I can see how your love's been guiding me. Even when I was wrong, you never left me alone, but you forgave and you kept on blessing. This I recall to my mind. Therefore, I have hope. It is because of your mercy that we are not consumed, because of thy compassion, because they never fail. They are new every morning. And then they go on to say, I can never repay you, Lord, for what you've done for me. You loosed my shackles and you set me free. How you made a way out of no way, turn my darkness into day. I could go on. And I just love that song. Usually when I hear it, I have to put it on repeat, but I don't have the luxury of doing that this morning. But I want to talk about briefly the faithfulness of God and what I was going to do in the Peace Place community. And we will do on an individual basis, provided we have the time for everybody here this morning, is a pulse check. How are you? How are you doing? We've been posing the question ever since January, whether we wrote it to one another or posed it in the live group. Who am I now? I wrote the book of Purpose back in 2013. It was published and it was all about who am I? Who am I here to be? What am I here to do? Your purpose, mission, and passion. And thinking about all of those things, purpose, mission, and passion, but the more mature questions I have grown, whether you're hearing me in Peace Place or whether you're hearing me on Black Women's World Podcast, my sister nieces and sister niece lovers, we have evolved and we grow, at least we should. And so when we ask the question, who am I? We should always be able to evolve and ask the question, who am I now? Who am I becoming? What do I see now? And so when I was thinking about a pulse check, sometimes you have to stop. You need to do a pit stop just to either change your tires, just like a race, the Daytona 500. They hit the pit, they put those tires on real quick, they put gas in it, everything else they got to do. And so to me, for this community or anything you should be involved in, you should not only do a pulse check for yourself, but for everything you're connected to, your intimate relationships, your family relationships, your job, your career, your social groups, your church, a pulse check. Who am I now? How do these things serve and fit my needs? And how has my faithfulness increased? And that was the main thing, because I began to think about everybody's going through something. And I know you all are aware of the physical things I've been going through. I'm aware of, especially in the Peace Place community, the physical and emotional and transitional things a lot of us are going through. Much aware. And somebody had said, I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about how hard it is to hold on. And I thought about it, and my immediate reaction was to agree with it. But as I sat there and did a pulse check, and I thought about, you know what? It's not easy for me to hold on. It's becoming easier for me to hold on. And I know that sounds like, what you trying to say, TracyMac? I know people say it's hard to hold on, but it's becoming easier for me to hold on because I realize what God is doing in my life. I realize the way that he has made in my life. I realize the ways he has brought me from. My faithfulness has kept a record of his faithfulness, not so much as my faithfulness to him, but he has been so faithful to me. And so when I heard the person say, it's really hard to hold on, and I thought about it, I said, no, It's not hard for me to hold on. Because of the faithfulness of God, it is hard for me to let go. It is really hard for me to let go. When I know how faithful God has been to me, it's hard for me to let go of how good he's been to me. I cannot let go of his track record. It's hard for me to let go because I think about all the things I have to let go. If I give up now, it is hard. I don't know how to give up. Because if I give up now, you know what I'd have to let go? I'd have to let go my faith. I'd have to let go all the time I put into this point. I'd have to let go my hope. I'd have to let go my testimony. I'd have to let go my resilience. I'd have to let go God's favor on my life and in my life. I would have to let go. It's too hard. So it's easier for me to hold on because I know what hope looks like. I can hold on to that. I know what peace looks like. I know what joy looks like. And all of those many things give me the ability to hold on. So when other people say it's hard to hold on, I say, no, baby, it's easy for me to hold on. It's hard for me to let go because I know God has been too good to me for me to let go. So when I begin to do my own pulse check and I thought about it, I said, I don't even know how to let go anymore because what I have gone through in my life in so many different ways has only taught me how to hold on. It's only taught me how to look for God's faithfulness. You know, some people will say, God, why is this happening? Why is that happening? My track record with God and his faithfulness has caused me to pose the question of what you're doing now. Not why, but what are you doing now? What do I need to see? What are you trying to show me? So just thinking about this pulse check as we begin to prepare to discuss it in the Peace Place community, anybody who's listening, who's not in the community, just discuss it in yourself. Maybe you can discuss it with your small group or your people. In your pulse check, just reminisce and think about the faithfulness of God. Because sometimes we don't see the faithfulness of God because we've allowed ourselves to become victims of our own domestic terrorism. Within our lives, we have spoken those things into our lives where we have terrorized our own selves with worry. We have terrorized our own selves with what ifs, negative what ifs that never happen, instead of making our what ifs powerful and positive. If you're looking for a scripture today, you better read your own life. We got our Holy Bible and your Holy Quran or whatever you deem necessary to be your book, your sacred text. But if you don't wise up and realize that you have become a living epistle, your life is a testimony, and God has written upon the tablets of your heart that people can say, Tracy chapter 1, verse 3, or your name chapter 6, verse 18, and look at your life and see, yeah, I thank God for David and Goliath. I thank God for Daniel in the lion's den. But I know, without naming names, some people in my life whose lives are just as miraculous. It doesn't take anything away from old, because if you think about it from this perspective, and Coach Dave Meyer taught us this back in 2011 and 2012 when I was going through my third coach certification. He didn't teach it, he just mentioned it, and it taught me. So I'm gonna correct that. He didn't teach it, he mentioned it. And he said, we have to remember, and he wasn't even talking about the Bible and the Word of God. He was teaching us how to coach. And he said, you got to remember, the Bible was inspired by God, not dictated. And a lot of times we've taken the word of God and made it to be that God said that. No, people said God said that. Even when we think about the New Testament, it's more Pauline, based on Paul, than Jesus. And so I encourage you to be that living epistle. And so when I say things like, sometimes we create our own domestic terrorism, it comes from the standpoint of we have put things in our lives to terrorize ourselves just in our mind. Things that have never happened, things that never will happen, because we allow the media and other people to dictate how we think and feel. And I'm saying, shut that mess down now. Do a pulse check and begin to talk about the faithfulness of God. Like I said, if you're not in the Peace Place community, get with some people where y'all can sit around and talk about the faithfulness of God more than you can the stock market, the news, and politics. What about the faithfulness of God that allows us to be living epistles, and we don't create our own domestic terrorism, and we realize it's so much easier to hold on than it is to let go? Because if I let go, I got to let go of everything I know about God. I got to let go of every testimony I've ever had. I've got to let go of my joy. I've got to let go of my peace. I've got to let go of my faith, the faith I have in God and how he's been faithful. That's too hard. I don't know how to let that go. So holding on is much easier. So I just encourage you to do a pulse check, not who am I and just leave it at that, but who am I now? Who am I becoming? And discuss that within yourself. Relieve yourself of domestic terrorism. Blow that mess up in your mind. And the only way, or should I say, one of the best ways you can do it is by reminiscing of the faithfulness of God. Remind God of who he is and who he has been to you. Yeah, you can use the stories of the Bible as a good reference. That's a starting place, but that's not where you should end up. You should be saying, David, I know what you did. I know about you. I know about the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I know about all that, but let me tell my generations to come how God has been faithful to me. And they don't have to go all the way back to that text, but my life, my living epistle, me standing as one of their ancestors. I want, if Jada ever has any children, I want my grandchildren or those spiritual children that I have birthed, I want them to go back and say, I'm going to tell you what Tracy said. I'm going to tell you what TracyMac said, and then that should encourage a more new, up-to-date revelation on what God can do. Can he heal you from COVID? Can he heal you? Somebody I'm looking at right now is being healed of breast cancer. Somebody who's on here in Peace Place community been healed of lung cancer. Somebody, can you tell that testimony in a way that years and from now that people will look at you like we look at David, we look at Paul, we look at even Jesus? Does that rise up in you? Can people look at us and say the miracles that have worked in our lives? You know, we got to think about Jesus. Jesus multiplied a Lunchable. The little boy that came to the picnic, his mom, but that's a New Day Lunchable. And he fed 5,000 people. How many times can we say that God has given us this little bit and we've maximized it? Can we have that testimony? So I just want to encourage you, do a pulse check. Check on yourself. Check on your relationships, check on your community. Do a pulse check. And this maybe the me you met years ago ain't the me I am now. And this is how I need you to treat me. This is how I need you to understand me. And this is how I can understand you. Make sure that you're giving and receiving, maybe not at equal rate, but at least equal sacrifice. Do that pulse check. Remember God's faithfulness. Make up in your mind, is it easier for me to hold on or let go? And I hope, like me, it's easier for you to hold on. Hold on to God's unchanging hand. Know that he is faithful and he is just. And he is not going to forget your labor. He's not going to forget your labor of love. He's not going to forget how you have expressed your gratitude to him. So I encourage you, do your pulse check. Remember, don't allow domestic terrorism of your own mind to cheat you of God's reality and the faithfulness of how he's been to you. Because I promise you, the song says, I won't complain. I've had good days. I've had hills to climb. And I'm skipping some words because I want to get to this part. But when I look around and think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. And I won't complain. I'm TracyMac. Much love and peace.
Thank you for listening in to Peace Place for Me, a place of peace for you. On behalf of Pastor and Chaplain TracyMac, we hope you enjoyed today's sharing and the blessed time spent together. We would like to give you a reaping opportunity if you so desire by giving. You can do so by way of Zelle at peaceplace@live.com, PayPal info@peaceplaceforme.com, Venmo at peaceplaceforme, Cash App Peace Place for Me, or by mail at Peace Place LLC, P.O. Box 767, Knightdale, North Carolina 27545. We want to express our gratitude in advance for the generous gifts you have chosen to share for the benefit of our community. We hope to fellowship with you again the next time we come together. As a reminder, we only meet on the second and fourth Sundays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For access to join our virtual meetings, email us at info@peaceplaceforme.com. That is, info@peaceplaceforme.com. Until next time, peace and blessings to you.
You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, brought to you in part by TracyMac Solutions for Life Institute, coaching and training services. No doubt, you have enjoyed being in our world, and it doesn't have to stop here. Head on over to blackwomen'sworld.com. This is my personal invitation to you to stay connected with me on social media and more. I'd love to see you there, and I'm so grateful you came to be with me here. Invite someone else to join you in our queendom next time so they can feel the vibe of our tribe of Sister Nistas and Sister Nista lovers too. Remember to be kind, be authentic, be generous, be excellent, be grateful, and while you're at it, go ahead and be extraordinary, because that's just what Sister Nistas do, on purpose, through mission, with passion and compassion. It's a Black woman's world, baby, and you, my Sister Nista, are proof. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and your host, TracyMac. Wherever you are in the world, may you love and be loved by somebody. Peace.